Genji 2 is an action game which is based on Japanese history. Being based on history, the stages of the game will also be based on famous battles which actually took place in ancient Japan. So here's this giant enemy crab.
We got Lego everything. Where is the 40K Lego games?
Games Workshop would never.
You fucking kidding me? Just imagine you're fucking.
They could, no. Because I've seen the Star Wars ones and people get hit with lifesavers and they just kind of explode into Lego blocks. This would be the same thing. Everything just explodes into Lego blocks, minus all the blood and gore. You could do it. The little baby skin robots.
Keep it. No, dude, keep it visceral. I want it to shock people. I want to see the blocks explode and there's just blood everywhere.
Dude, they are so protective of their IP and like their image.
They gotta calm that shit down, man.
Yeah, I'm not saying that as a good thing or like as it's just they would never do it. I don't think
they never would.
I want to. Isn't that part of why it's like we get rough like Warhammer games because it's so difficult to get?
It's because Games Workshop basically oversees what you're allowed to actually do in your games. Like there was problems with Space Marines, with Space Marine 2, just because Games Workshop, for example, because I think they wanted to do more with the Death Watch in game, but they couldn't because
that'd be cool.
Because Games Workshop told them no, you have to focus on Primus Marines for this. Is why. So
interesting
to help tie it in to sell more figurines.
Oh, is Primus like their latest?
It's the
latest, the
line.
newest. Okay. Yeah, it's the newest Space Marines.
Yep. It's basically a way for them to get more towards the canon scale in terms of figurine scale, but it's also just so they can sell you more.
That being said, Space Marine 2 was fantastic, but
yeah, maybe what is it? Games Works?
Games Workshop.
Games Workshop.
Games Workshop. Yeah.
Games Workshop. Telling people no. You know who will never tell you no? The Giant Enemy Crab podcast. We're here for you every time. Episode 19.
You've been cooking that up for the last 5 minutes.
I'm going to lose my fucking mind. I swear to God,
we don't
dude.
say no. We just interrupt each other. Instead, the loudest one wins.
That's your new host soon. He's going to take over from now on, apparently. Take it away, my guy. Oh, where'd you go? What happened?
What episode?
Everything went dark.
Episode 19.
Yeah.
We
did it.
I'm just playing. Thank you for joining us. We're here today with some random bits and pieces. I read Jason Schreier's new book, so maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. We're also joined by Kyler and Strider, as always. Thank you, gentlemen.
New readings.
The only thing I can really think of is in the future, I think we're going to try and do a little Halloween episode. Don't know who will be there for that, but we're going to try and make something happen at some point, a little extra bonus. But until then, what y'all got?
I have something very interesting that happened that I heard about.
Oh, hit me.
So for Tekken 8 World Tour, which is basically a series of tournaments to see who gets to compete at the the big tournament, like Tekken tournament. So they have these qualifying rounds where you get points, from what I understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a player, XCC. He managed to get to a top 8 finisher before someone realized, hey, wait a minute, that guy is Chinese. And because he's Chinese, it's one of the only countries that technically was not allowed by the rules of the tournament, thigh draw uppercut. And he was DQ'd after making top 8 because no one realized that, because in the rules, there's a list of which countries are eligible for the tournament, and China wasn't on there. But no one realized it till this person got all the way to top 8 out of 600 people. No one noticed.
Why is China not allowed?
They are allowed now because of the whole controversy, and they made concessions, but I could not tell you why. They just were one of the few countries that weren't on that list.
You're disqualified. Why? Because you're Chinese.
Literally, why? Because there was 189 countries on there, but China wasn't one of them. So when someone figured it out, they're like, fuck, we have to DQ this guy.
Literally.
Because he's literally not allowed to actually compete in the tournament. But he got all the way to top 8 before someone noticed.
Literally hit him with the Chinese diff.
Was it like a World Series or something?
Yeah, it's like some tournament in the Tekken World Tour tournament.
Okay. Okay, that makes more sense then, I guess.
But like,
I'm just surprised no one noticed in a world
because he
tour.
even signed down that like that his country of origin, like who he's like representing is China. Like, what the fuck,
Dude, they're looking at his fucking like his bag and was like, wait a minute, this guy's from China.
Someone's
Dang, he'd been undefeated too.
oh, did you?
That's
All the way
why.
to top 8.
That's why they weren't allowed. They're too strong. Got to give everyone else a chance.
Oh, that is fucked.
He said, "We're new to this shit. China's been fighting for thousands of years."
What is this
Oh,
Baki
man.
logic?
Wow,
That's crazy.
That's pretty funny.
I'm
that
funny
poor
reading that. I could not believe it. I was like, how do you? Because like my only, I guess, is that someone went to make like the intro cards for top 8, right? And wait a minute, when they were putting this guys together.
Dude, hold on, I can't. God, I can't put his origin of where he's from because we're not allowed to have them in this.
It's just not on the drop down list.
Yeah, I guess there still isn't a reason. Nobody said a reason why China wasn't allowed in the first place.
They just weren't on the list.
Just arbitrarily. Hey, you know what? I bet we could sneak a no Chinese rule in here. How about that? Let's get. That's fucked up. Undefeated until top 8, and then just
Then defeated by
hey,
racism.
we saw what race you are. Yeah, the story of the world.
Unfortunately, the one thing he can't fight.
You can be as good as you want. Eventually, racism is going to get you in the end.
Yeah.
Not even from like an individual, either from
another-
the whole organization.
Another thing is that Red Dead Redemption and its DLC are coming to PC finally at the end of the
Oh,
at
that's
the
a
end of the
thing.
I
month.
saw that, yeah.
It's going to cost $50.
No,
Jeez.
Is it
Now-
remastered in any way, or is it just a port?
no, it's just a port.
It's just
Oh,
a
wow.
port. I think there's some like minor improvements because from what I understand, it's a port of like the recent version they released on PlayStation 4 or something like that. So I can't. It's like I might have some remastered elements on it from that port because it's not a port of the old 360 version, from what I understand. But the funny thing is, it's releasing on October 29th. And guess what game decided to have a release date 2 days after to continue their curse? The
the
Horizon.
one with the lady who's red haired
Yeah.
and fights Dyna
fucking
robots.
Horizon?
Zero Dawn remaster
Horizon.
is releasing right after it. They must be their entire strategy. I swear at this point is release right next to the other big game.
I mean, if you look at it in a certain light of like everybody's going to be going to the store to buy something, and on that right next to it, they're going to see my ad pop up too. That's kind of a killer strategy.
It is like Horizon, like has sold like 15 to 20 million copies. Like it's somewhere in there. I don't know exactly where it is. Like it's very successful.
Yeah, it's a really good series.
But it's just really funny how they cannot stop releasing right next to really big games.
It's that port time.
Well, I'm not terribly excited for either of those releases. I am excited for Alien Isolation 2. I like the first one. That's coming out. I don't know when,
More isolated.
but they definitely said it's ready to come out.
Well, they said that
I
they've
thought
worked on it.
they were said.
It-
Yeah,
that-
development, right?
Yeah, the development has started.
Okay.
Like it's confirmed that it.
Oh, good.
So in a similar vein to the Tekken situation, PlayStation just had
Uh-oh.
to do something really funny. They just had to pull Hotline Miami 2 from every Australian PS5 owner.
Wait, hold on. Is this on their part, or is this Australia having the weird censorship laws?
It's because the game was never actually allowed to release in Australia. It was never.
Oh,
But about 12, it came out on PlayStation 4/PS5 about 12 months ago and was given away as part of PlayStation Plus. But apparently someone, because the game was banned in Australia for a sexual assault scene towards the beginning of the game.
It definitely has that. I remember streaming and being like, "Oh, wait, I don't want to stream this.
But-
I don't like that."
But someone just, like basically, I forget what they're called. But basically the people who oversee Australia's like video game like ratings, like
I don't
basically
remember the
issued
name.
Sony a notice like, hey, we never actually allowed you to like this game is not allowed to be sold in Australia. You're gonna have to take that down. So they had to refund every single person that owns the game if they're from Australia.
Even if they got it for free?
I'm assuming that if you bought it, you get the refunds back. If you got it as part of like PlayStation Plus or whatever, like you're just losing access to the game, from what I understand.
You got to pay money and then they refund it.
Yeah. No, you can't have it.
Well, they said
You can't buy it now.
you can't, and they said, well, it'll take 30 to 60 business days, but you'll get the money back.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, at least they got it for 10 months. I guess this goes along with the licensing thing of like, hey, your games really aren't yours. And I guess that kind of ties into Steam. Yeah, Steam now tells you if you're buying a license for sure. We were talking about that last week, but now it's here.
Yep.
And yeah, especially when like, I don't know. I guess that is, I didn't think it was as big of a deal before, even though it should be. But yeah, seeing that you can have something for that long and then they'll just be like, nah, we made an error. It's not yours anymore. That feels kind of shitty.
Because the weird thing is that like it existed for 12 months before someone noticed, because they tried to the Switch version that came out was shut down in less than 24 hours before they received a notice like, hey, stop selling this. It's not allowed.
Oh yeah, Nintendo's on top of it. Nintendo knows what they're doing.
Sony's like, we have a store?
I thought that was just for ads. What are you doing?
Holy shit.
People use.
On another note, did you guys see the news that Microsoft, for some reason, has stopped selling Xboxes in Saudi Arabia, like entirely? From what people
No.
That seems weird. That's weird.
Like there's like major gaming like stores in Saudi Arabia. I've just reported that apparently Microsoft sent them an email basically saying that they're stopping the sales of Xboxes.
I wonder why that is.
And in a similar vein, looking at the numbers, PlayStation 5s are down, sales are down 17% compared to last year. Xboxes are down 58%.
Oh,
Is this like it's like worldwide, or is this like
overall?
Saudi
From what I
Arabia?
understand, it's worldwide. Like this is just
Oh my
like
God.
information to go with it.
It's a pretty big drop.
Because what I'm seeing a lot of people talking about when I was looking into this is that people are starting to get the idea or the theory that Xbox is trying to transition off of a console and trying to go.
I mean, they already look like towers at this point.
Like then that they're going to go for more software / game fronts.
yeah, I could see that, especially with like, and GeForce Now kind of like becoming a better and better service as well. I'm sure they're probably going to try doing the same thing and not have to worry about the console wars anymore and just invest entirely off of the Game Pass.
Unfortunately, Xbox, I guess not unfortunately, but they made a statement like a day ago saying that that's not true. They're still going to make it available. This is just a Saudi Arabia thing. They're still going to make it available everywhere.
Okay.
So, corrected. Not by anything strong.
You got correct.
You're
That's
wrong.
Did you guys see that that Destiny 2 lawsuit now that we have going on?
Oh yeah, it was. What's that about?
So there's an author.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. No, continue. I just realized.
yeah, there's an author by the name of Kelsey Martineau. I could be pronouncing that wrong, but he's basically suing Bungie for copyright for basically the entire Destiny 2 Red War storyline, which is like the original one that it came out with back in 2017. He's basically saying that they pretty much just stole his work in its entirety, right? And they just did the whole, you can copy my homework, but make sure you change it up a little bit. That's basically what they did.
But they didn't change it too much.
Yeah, I actually read this whole lawsuit. And looking at it, there's some legitimate they might be in a bit of trouble here. To be honest with you, there's a lot of parallels in this. Like the Red Legion, which is like the main starting faction, the Cabal and everything.
Yeah.
They pretty much are from his book. Like the name is exactly the same. The weapons and stuff that they use, the dogs that they use as well in the game, and even like the faction leader, Gaul, who it is in Destiny 2, although the name is different, his backstory is very similar to the parallel character in Kelsey's story as well.
Ball.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Jesus, dude.
What, Gollum Ball?
I'm so sorry.
Continue, Lionel.
Continue.
I don't even remember where I was.
You were talking about
Ball.
the leaders
See,
are
it's
very-
really annoying to get flashbang like that. Fucking stupid, just like you did to me.
I'm sorry.
Last episode, the same thing happened to you. You were talking, suddenly soon goes kapow, and you just dead silence for like 2 minutes.
What did I kapow with? I don't remember.
It doesn't matter. You kapowed him.
Did I though?
Lost
You can't
the
remember
time.
what it
You
was.
definitely did.
There's literal proof if you listen to the episode.
We have recordings. But yeah, like there's actually a lot that seems to have been like directly taken from his work. And looking at the lawsuit, like when you read the first, not few, there's like 100+ like claims in here, but like the first 60, like, yeah, this is a lot. But then when you keep going through it, it starts to kind of hurt its own claims because
Some reaching stuff.
oh yeah, like
Okay.
like there's some where they're saying that there's a mission in Destiny 2 where they have to go onto a spaceship and sabotage the reactor, and that happens in his book too. Yeah,
Oh.
that's,
Yeah, that's
like
a bit more of a reach.
sci-fi. Like
That's
That's-
every Star
yeah.
Wars ever.
That's a very sci-fi story kind of trope.
yeah, or just like how the really powerful weapon has a digital input device to control it. Like, yeah, no
you, like-
shit.
If you put these things on their own, like, yeah, it sounds like reaching. But if you say that like almost every part of it down to these general details, you could have like. I'm surprised who is it. Bungie did Destiny. Like, why would they? And it's not like a super compelling story.
No.
You know,
Nah,
I
I
played
don't
the shit
remember
out of
much
that
about it.
game. It's not a story worth stealing, in my opinion. Maybe how was this like? Is this like a big author or is this like a smaller sci-fi? You might not have looked into that, but
No, I haven't really. I would imagine they're not. I've never heard
Yeah.
of this story at all, to be honest with you, or this author. But he does give an explanation saying that apparently Bungie had needed to completely start over the development of Destiny 2 about 1.5 years prior to its release, and he's saying that's why they stole from his work. Was they stole the story because of that?
Because of
I
time
just needed a
crunch.
quick fix.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I did have a
I swear.
question because you guys played Destiny 1 and I never did. I only played 2. Were the Exos in Destiny 1?
What's an
I
exo?
Need a refresher. Yeah. What's an
It's
exo?
the robots, the robot guys.
Oh, the robot race. Yeah. They
Yeah.
were.
They were. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because that was another
they were
thing that he said that Destiny 2 stole.
swear they were, right?
Because that same concept is from his book as well. Or is in his book, I should say. Excuse me.
A robot race in space.
More like transferring consciousness from one being to another with, electronic doodads.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're all general sci-fi ideas, but to have them all in one spot, like they totally ripped him off.
Yeah.
It's
It's kind
a
of
bit
like
adds a bit too much.
this is kind of a lot. I wonder they Destiny, or no, I shouldn't say Destiny. Bungie has still not said anything about this lawsuit.
Oh, they
so
did it.
I'm gonna keep an eye on this.
Yeah.
They
Okay. They were in the. I was
totally
just
did
looking up. They were in the first one.
I kind of want to be there when this guy found out. Like maybe like a friend recommended Destiny 2 to him. He's like, "Oh sure, I'll try out the game."
Wait a minute.
Oh, this looks kind of familiar.
Ripped off my shit, dude.
Oh no. It's what I did, except even more boring.
Yeah, dude. I like that idea more. Like they made it worse. Like.
Oh, I don't know. I really that's one of those games that I enjoyed the play. Like the gameplay of Destiny was more than enough to carry me through. Because like I said, the story The main problem, and I've said this before, is like they couldn't fit enough cinematics and characters speaking to each other into the game itself. And so you played the game, and then every time you wanted to figure out something like, oh, what is this who's this guy, or what's this gun do, or what's this place about? It would tell you to go, like the game would tell you to go online and look. They had the grimoire. They'd say, go check this out in the grimoire, which is a totally separate thing from your PlayStation that you're on. And I went, you are out of your mind.
Like a compendium.
Yeah, they basically they didn't have like a glossary in game or like notes or anything. It was just go online and Google it, stupid.
It was like, go to this link.
Yeah.
Like, from the very little Destiny I played.
Yeah, and no, I never once did that. Not once. And that's not even the first time that happened. That happened with Final Fantasy IX and the strategy guide way back in the day when I was still using like Newgrounds at my friend's house because not everybody had the internet. Yeah, he had and they were like, it was a guide that was supposed to tell you what you were supposed to do next, and it would be like, you want to know where this secret boss is? Check out, I think it was called Play Online, right? And every page had multiple instances of telling you to go to Play Online to figure it. I'm like, what is the point of this guide? It should just have one page in it that says go to Play Online.
You just buy the game, the strategy guide, open it up. It's just a URL to game FAQs.
It should have been. It really should have been. There was nothing in there. It was useless.
I don't mind the idea of like a game world having a compendium if it's interesting enough and like if it's like extra stuff on the level of like, you're already getting like a healthy dose in the game. And then, like, if it's like, oh, I want to know more, then I like the compendium idea. But if it's like, here's bare bones, if you want to know more, you want to know the actual in depth, you have to go research it. It's like, I'd rather just find out in the game as I fucking play, dude.
No, I agree. It either if it's story heavy and it's just like extra tidbits that I could go find out, cool, I'll go do that, maybe if I care enough. Or if it's, say, Overwatch or something where there is no story in the game, but the game is not about that at all, then I might want to go look up the shorts or whatever they have that are going to teach me more about the characters I've come to enjoy playing as. But Destiny didn't have any of those things. It just said, here's some boring shit. You want to know about more boring shit? Go online.
I was doing that recently with like Star Wars, where I was playing, because I beat Jedi Survivor. And I was just on a Star Wars kick for a bit. I was like looking up like, more info on the Sith and Jedi and all that. And yeah, no, like that kind of stuff I find fun, but
the game basically needs to be able to stand on its own with the information given in-game for something to like, I don't want another Final Fantasy 15 where I need to watch the anime, the movie, the fucking prequel novels or whatever the fuck there was, and then I can play the video game.
Yeah, aren't there DLCs all different times too?
Yes, the DLCs.
Yeah, they're all like different perspectives and different timelines, parts of the timeline.
Yep.
Since we're kind of like on a kind of similar topic, what is your like most annoying or like hated mechanic or something in a game you've ever run into?
Fetch quest. Walk here, click this guy, go back. Walk
Fetch
here,
quest?
click this guy. Final Fantasy 14, eat my whole ass.
Okay, so not a big thing, but the one that drives me up the wall the fastest, escort quest. Your walk speed is too slow.
Yeah.
Your walk speed is too slow to keep up with the person. Your run speed is too fast to keep up. You'll overshoot him.
Yeah. Or the tailing missions from like GTA, like those shits where you're kind of like, oh.
No, I mean like what is your most like? This makes me like you would drop the game just because of this. Like it is such clearly this is absolutely terrible. I don't know why they did this. I'm done. Because I just had this experience like this last week with the game.
Ooh, tell me.
It was, I talked to Soon about it because I thought he'd played the game. I don't think he played as much as I thought. It was
game?
in XCOM 2.
Right? Yeah, you were talking about that. What part was it again? Because I think I'd have to look it up to really know, because what you said rang a bell, but I couldn't remember if I had or not.
Yeah, so XCOM 2, it's a turn-based game. It's kind of like you ever play game like Squads, where you kind of control like a character, have it move, shoot a gun, or do some other tactical thing, move on to the next turn for the next person, so on and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an older game, but it was actually pretty fun. I was having actually a great time with it.
It's a good game.
I really enjoyed it.
All things considered, but
yeah. But then I ran into a different type of enemy, right? It was called a ruler enemy. And the game didn't explain anything. It just said that it was a ruler and it had like a shit ton of health, this enemy, right?
Okay.
I was like, okay, whatever. The churn started for combat and I had my person shoot at it, right? And I missed. I was like, whatever. But then on the screen, it popped up ruler reaction. And the enemy got to have its own churn to attack my guy back. And I was like, oh, it has legendary actions. I immediately made a connection with Dungeons and Dragons, which is a mechanic designed to fix churn economy for really powerful single characters, right? But it's not that, because in Dungeons and Dragons, a certain enemy only gets 2 of those a churn, right? In XCOM 2, a ruler, anytime you finish any type of action, it gets its own churn, no matter what it is.
Okay, so I looked it up, and the reason it wasn't that I didn't make it far enough. That is a DLC.
Is it? Is that
yes,
why?
That is the Alien Hunters DLC.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so you encountered a DLC enemy. Yeah, that was added with the Alien Hunters, and that because there are 3 types, and yeah, so that's why I never encountered them, because they didn't have that DLC.
Dude, and I'm not joking. If you move, right? I moved my character and didn't even get to attack or anything. As soon as I finished moving, boom, it gets another churn. And then I attack with that same character, boom, it gets another churn.
Yeah, I'm reading right here. Yeah. In short, each alien ruler had a ridiculously OP mechanic where every single action you took would result in an alien ruler move bar.
It made me so unbelievably angry. I was like, who in their right mind designed this mechanic? I quit. I beat it, right? I just finished the mission because I had to. And then I uninstalled the game. I was so angry.
So, but if I remember in Dungeons and Dragons, reactionary actions or whatever they're called, opportunity, I don't know what it is. They're limited actions as well, right? You can't do everything.
Yes, yeah. Legendary actions can only do very specific things.
And this guy, it sounds like he could have. I think I'll go get some tea and then I'll come back and whoop your ass.
And what was really dumb, right, is he had one move he could do where he could grapple something. And he's like a snake guy. So he constrict it and cause it to take damage every churn. But it's not every churn. It's every time he has a churn. So my guys would die simply because Frank over there is walking around.
And because they died, that counts as an action and he gets another.
Yeah. It was so dumb. I'm shaking right now because I remember how angry I was at this. I couldn't believe it that this was actually a thing. I was like, why do people like this game? I thought the thing that would make me mad was the whole 95% chance to hit and I miss anyway. But no, it's this stupid thing.
Yeah, so I might be able to save the game for you. I think you can turn that off or uninstall it.
Can you? I might have to.
So you might be able to go back and play the game without that DLC.
So am I not wrong then that that's just a mistake?
Oh no, the consensus is that the rulers are bullshit.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no.
Oh my god,
dude, it's mostly negative reviews for that DLC, across the board.
I feel very validated then. I didn't even bother looking it up. I was like, this is some bullshit.
If you have something like that, it needs to be tied to something in particular that you do. If you want to make that type of thing, like an enemy that attacks back every time you hit it, but not an enemy that does something every time, no matter a universal response.
I mean, I don't know the game that well, but that's supposed to be a DLC. You're supposed to have beaten the game before you get to those guys, correct?
I don't know. That was my 3rd mission.
No, you took the wrong path.
I was a baby. Dude.
He's in the hospital looking over your crib. Make a move, bitch.
Like they give you a really strong guy who has like 12 HP, and all my guys have like 5 or 6. So he's really strong. That thing had like 29. Like it had 2 bars. I was scared.
I think when you're setting up a campaign, you can literally just go tick it off.
Oh, so it had to restart. I guess that's fine. I didn't get very far.
That does sound like the type of thing I would expect in one of those games with DLC where like you just get fucking vibe checked because they have DLC content that's designed for like experienced players.
Oh yeah, no, like
like Darkest Dungeon.
Their stuff is all
That
about
shit
adding more
fucked me.
challenge, like it always has been.
But there's always like these type of games where if you buy everything at once, it's like the game wasn't designed for it to teach you. Like
oh yeah,
like
it doesn't teach you anything. Like the funny part is they give you a guy, right, that I was talking about who's stronger than you. He's like a higher level. He has extra stuff he can do that he was just doing. And I don't know why he was doing it. Because like every now and then he'd get like a free churn or he just like attack shit out of nowhere. And I have no idea why. He never told me. I had no way to, well, maybe there was a way, but I couldn't find one to look up what he could do.
The promoted unit reactions and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I think so. I think he had one
menu. If I had to guess, knowing these type of games, like
it's somewhere.
If you're not
there.
willing to go through every menu, like right when you get control, and like check, like see where information might be two UI menus in like 3 pages over, and that's the only place the game will mention something, and like all the information is scattered.
The crazy part was that mission, like all the other enemies had like 2 health. Like I could one shot all of them just fine. And I thought it was like, oh, it's like a little tutorial mission. This guy's just doing stuff. I don't need to look it up because it's like, this isn't even like a real mission, right? Then I quickly got my teeth kicked in.
Yeah, you might have been given, if you had, I'm assuming you have all the DLCs, right?
I do, yeah. It was like
the more
$7.
powerful unit you were given might have been one of the War of the Chosen units.
I don't
That's
know.
one of the, it's like one of the major expansions that added new factions and hero classes, and I think you get gifted one early on.
I think he was like a story guy. He was like one of the main guys you meet in the.
I think
in
they
the
tie into
intro.
the story though.
It's noticeable that you definitely didn't have enough game knowledge to encounter what you encountered, and that's poor game design regardless of what you
Bro, it was my
what
third
you
mission.
think.
Well, I even brought like 2 like rookie guys because I was trying to level them up. They'd never been on a mission before, and I was like, "Oh, I'll level them up, get them a class."
What the fuck is that?
Stick it for a bitch.
A lot of XCOM is you're sending like newbie soldiers in and they're dying immediately.
Dude, poor what was his name, Marcus or something? He was getting choked out by the snake, and I was like, I moved a guy to go help him, and he just took more damage from him moving.
Yep.
I almost wonder. I wonder if like one of the DLC menus, like when you're like checking the like create a campaign, it's like, hey, don't enable this if it's your first time because games like
It did
this-
not.
I'm definitely
And that was the thing. I was playing on the easiest difficulty because I know this game was supposed to be hard, right? So I was like, you know what? I'll just play in the easy mode. I just we'll turn it up if I feel comfortable doing it. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, no, I still got my teeth kicked in.
Because what I've heard for XCOM 2 is like there's 2 things I always hear mentioned is that like that I always give when I see it is people always talk about the long war mod because apparently it's like like a very popular thing for XCOM 2 because I think the people who made it went up and made another game actually that released on Steam after they made it. But it's literally people always talk about XCOM 2. They mentioned that in the same thing, and then they always mention that the base game is like has some balancing issues. And it sounds like I now understand a better reason why they say that.
Yeah, it has some weird features. Like one that's strange is that attacking will always end your turn, which makes no sense to me. Like you can use up your full movement and then attack, but you can't do the opposite, which is just weird.
That might simply be like the game designers couldn't figure out a way to make it fair. Like you could run up, shoot somebody, and then run back and then be totally out of their range forever.
It's probably to stop
Yeah,
But
hiding
I don't
strategies.
know. That's a guess. Yeah. Yeah. You gonna try it again?
If you can disable the DLC, yeah, because honestly, I was having a lot of fun with that game. That game is fun.
That's how I felt about Darkest Dungeon, but I didn't want to disable the DLC because I was like, the game is supposed to be hard. And then my characters kept getting blood disease.
That is the example I'm thinking of. Because I think even Darkest Dungeon even says, "Hey, don't use this your first time."
Nah, I did it all, and then I spent all my time just trying to cure blood disease. I'd build up characters to go get more blood disease cures, and then they'd get blood disease. And everybody got blood disease.
Wait,
and
which
died.
game is this?
Darkest
Yes,
Darkest Dungeon.
It's
dude.
Blood Count DLC or whatever. Like, you go in, like, oh, I need 6 vials to cure everyone. I got 2 vials. Now I need 9 vials to cure everyone because everyone has super vampire AIDS.
Yeah, clean off those needles.
No, it's Darkest Dungeon, not Happiest Hospital.
Happiest hospital. I'm just imagining the most cheerful, like, hospital setting, but it plays exactly like Darkest Dungeon.
Oh, there's the community
It can be
needle.
done. Community. The sharing is caring. There you go.
But to answer your question, I think one of my biggest complaints is very specifically it's genre dependent. But in RPGs, it's scaling. It's enemy scaling with you.
Oh yeah,
I fucking despise that in
annoying.
almost every single RPG.
It takes all like the
progression of your
it takes all the drive out of it. Yeah, like I don't want to go anywhere because it's all going to be the same. Why don't I just stay where I'm at? And it's always like a level or two difference to kind of like, hey, maybe you should leave this area, but why? Just like make it. I like when you guide me based on the level of enemies I'm at. You know, like I shouldn't be over here yet, or maybe I can test it because I'm that good right now. You know, but at least guide me somewhere. Don't just. That's what happened. I think in Elder Scrolls Online, I tried playing that.
Yep.
And I could just go anywhere and do anything, and it became too much.
So I don't. Sorry, shit. I don't mind level scaling to a certain extent, but there is like a too far where like what you're describing. But I've played games where it's like, you know, certain areas that are higher level present more of a challenge, even if it's scaling with you. But
yeah, I think for me specifically is where you like specifically grind to become stronger for an area, but it doesn't matter because they just scale to you, so it's just as difficult anyways. Like you get no reward for the time or work you put in. And sometimes it'll actually be the opposite where it's more difficult now because you leveled up and it's based on level. Now your equipment is just ass. and now everything's just as strong as you anyways. So
I remember I was playing a game recently, where I went to the expansion and that kind of happened, and I was like, okay, once I get through this and get some gear, I'll be fine. And it's exactly what happened. Once I started getting gear from that expansion, I was fine.
yeah,
But it was a little bit of a slog.
yeah, it's stuff like
you're-
that that's annoying to me.
It's funny you said that because I was just thinking about what parts of Final Fantasy I hated. and the one that stuck out to me, I'm like, what did I really not like about Final Fantasy 14? And it was Bosgen. Like Bosgen was the most horrible time I'd ever had. And I was like, but why? Because like the cool like multi-person fights and like the dueling
Boja?
thing. And, that
Bojo
thing.
Warfront or whatever.
And I was like,
Yeah.
that thing. And like the you had like the 20 people going up against a monster, or you had you versus one if you were special or something, and people would watch. And like that stuff was kind of cool. But then I was like, it made you feel so weak, right? Like you spent all this time building up this character, and I know there was like a level cap and whatnot, but even so, like everything killed you if you weren't ready for it immediately. And it I think that kind of ties into like your scaling level problem, where if I get into a game and I feel like it's harder. I think maybe that's why FromSoft does it the best, because the games do get harder, but you feel stronger as you go along. And a lot of games end up with you just feeling like shit because the enemies became huge HP sponges or something. And that was the solve to difficulty they threw at you. And then it's like, well, now it's not a power fantasy anymore.
Yeah.
Now and that was the point of the game originally. I know there's games where the point is to be weak, but I don't know. I hate feeling really weak in a game,
Mission.
especially after I put time into it.
Dude, you should play Kenshin. That like
I've thought about it many times. I should.
Or Kenshi. Yeah,
Kenshi is brutal.
Man, I remember like when you start out, like you can't fight no one. It is hard. Like I'm serious. Like, cause everyone like has their own little gangs and everything. It's just you by yourself, and like you'll just get your ass whooped.
If you plan on trying it, be prepared to be a slave a lot.
Yeah, honestly. But if you can make it, because like I'm so strong now, I like it's very few people can take me on, and it's actually like I'm pretty proud of my character. I'm a fucking monster.
I've been hearing about that game for a while.
Part of Kenshi is just like part of the experience. It's just building your character. Like you are not like the one. You are just another like nobody.
Yeah,
You gotta force yourself to become the one.
yeah.
pretty much.
There's a few guys that are like stronger than me, like solo, that I just can't fight, and that's who I'm like training to beat right now. Still, is them.
I might have to try this.
It's
No,
a
it is
fun game.
janky as
This
hell.
might be fun.
But
They're coming out with the
Yeah,
second
but
one.
I mean, it's more so like I tend to get stuck in the games where beating your head against the wall is a strategy.
but
You
I
know,
was just
like-
like, just a heads up. The game is great. It is janky though. Like, just be prepared for
Yeah.
jankiness going in. But it's a
I
fun
live
janky.
for jank.
It is a fun
You merely
janky.
adopted the jank. I was born and molded by it.
Oh my god!
It's
Yeah.
a fun game.
Yeah.
I wish it was multiplayer. Is the only thing. That'd be a
I'm
lot
sure
of
there's a
fun.
mod.
I want to say I
probably
could have
is.
sworn there was.
There's probably something,
Yeah.
but I don't know how well it would work. Because there's a lot of networking you would have to do there.
I'll give it a try and see how. Is it like a full price game or is it like usually on sale?
It's $30 normally from what I remember. You can't tell if it's gone up in price when it full released. I don't think it.
Well, I'll keep an eye
And
on
I
it.
think it goes on sale, but I don't think it's the most
I got
common
mine
game.
on sale.
It's not the most common game.
I'll have to look. Can't buy it now because I just bought Silent Hill and I haven't even started it up yet. Friggin' babies crying all the time, but I'll get there. I was thinking like maybe I could put some hours into it, and because I've heard nothing but good things. But man, buying a game full price, $70 was not something my heart was prepared for. I'm not used to that. I don't like that.
Made you sick. I could hear it.
It did. I like my stomach turned. I was like, this doesn't feel like a hobby anymore. This feels like a bill. Like, it's too much. The
Yeah.
numbers are just, ugh. Yeah.
When you think about it too,
Um,
like Silent Hill 2, like once you beat it, you're done.
I know these are things that went in, but I could play League for free forever.
Exactly.
So,
God damn it.
But have you stayed
I-
through
I-
to play on League?
No, but that's also my choice. And I'm happy with most of my purchases. I don't think I've made a real purchase in League that I was like, why did I fucking do that?
You bought
Watch this.
something for $20 so you can scream, but it's goddamn an investment.
I did. It was exactly what I wanted. I knew what I was getting, and it was worth it to me. Baldur's Gate 3. You guys saw the newest news there?
Oh
No.
which one?
No, what's
What
the newest
happened?
news?
A hardcore fan bought a $20,000 custom-made Astarion sex doll.
I see why I didn't see this news.
Oh my god.
It's not officially licensed, although
Really?
imagine.
It's not. I
Yeah,
wonder
I saw
why.
this on what is this MP First? I've never heard of this news site. It's fine. I'm sure they're cool. It's funny because somebody posted like a Twitter screenshot and it's just his like abs. They're like, which one of you hoes ordered this? $20,000. I'm complaining about a $70 game price. People are out here like, I need to fuck this plastic for $20K, and my plastic's got to look specific.
I sold my car for this doll.
No, these people don't need a car. They don't leave the house.
They only need this ride. They only need one ride.
Oh, that was bad.
You're
I like
welcome.
my favorite part is that this whole article is like The fan named Tiffany gave the doll a 4-star review saying, "This is an amazing doll, very well made. Details are phenomenal." And then it just goes on for a little bit, but then the end of the article is Baldur's Gate launched in August 23 and is available on PC, Xbox, and Series S. I was like, okay, thanks for putting that little line at the end.
Now that's marketing right there.
That's marketing.
I mean, you remember the bear eggs, like, news for that?
The
what
what news?
The whole sex, you can have sex with a bear thing, like before the game released in one part.
Oh yeah,
that whole
I
news
forgot
section,
about that.
like that was the popular thing going around about Baldur's Gate before it released, was the fact that you could fuck a druid wild shaped into a bear.
I can't. So, while they were wild shaped, or just that they could?
Well, they were wild shaped from what
Oh, just banging bears.
wasn't an actual
Okay.
bear. It was a druid wild shaped as a bear, but in bear shaped.
Yeah, she's.
Drew's getting freaky.
Yeah, I don't like the argument of, well, it's not actually that. You can keep that argument for anything. I don't ever want to hear that argument.
Hey man, Druids get up to some freaky shit.
But I bet they do. Imagine if you could turn into a bear and fuck another person who turned into a bear. You'd probably do it.
Wasn't that just that Black Mirror episode?
No, that was video game characters.
Yeah.
But there was a bear in it.
Kuma wins.
Oh no!
The bear didn't satisfy him as much as his bro did, right? So
No, man, they found out that they weren't really in love. It was just the game characters.
it was no.
They made a deal
it was
at the
bro
end.
fucking.
I will remember that episode till the day I die.
It doesn't matter how long ago that. Like every time it's brought back up, all the memories come flushing back. It's like, God damn it!
My favorite part, and I said this, I'm sure, but like that episode is about two guys who fight each other in a game. Virtuality gets to the point where they're both playing the characters in the game. One's a chick, one's a dude, and they just start banging each other in virtual reality, and drama ensues, right? But I had told my coworker, like, yeah, man, Black Mirror new season just came out. I really like the show. It's all this weird, crazy shit. He's like, oh, okay, what's that on Netflix? I was like, yeah, man, check it out. Last time they had like demon dogs and like just, horror stuff, evil video games. And then he comes back, and then that was the first episode that was out. And he comes back and he goes, don't you ever recommend me anything ever. I'm sorry, I didn't know it would be so hard to watch. It was like, really? I'm not saying anything was wrong. Like the idea of the episode actually happens, I would assume, all the time. Like people be fucking in games, right? But it was just hard to watch the whole thing. So, it was unexpected. I'll just say that. Unexpected. Great episode though. You should watch it.
Speaking of unexpected, how's your book, Fliz? I've been seeing some articles about some of the stuff in there.
I don't really know how I feel about it.
Yeah?
This is Jason Schreier's newest book, The Rise and Fall of, what's it called? The Rise, Fall, and Future of Blizzard. Play nice. The Rise, Fall, and Future of Blizzard.
Play
or
nice.
something.
Or something.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed his last book a lot more. I'll say that. This one was, the first half of it is talking about how Blizzard came up. It felt kind of weird because it felt like it was very front end loaded. And then once you get to all the stuff you really want to know about, it was very much so stuff you already knew.
Kind of, yeah.
As in, like, if you followed it, like, you heard a lot of these stories already, and there's a couple, there's nothing mind blowing in there.
Stuff that's kind of like
some
public,
stuff,
but you were looking for like the stuff that
it was all,
was more behind, like, more insider kind of.
yeah, I knew he wasn't going to blow the whole company apart or something, but a lot of the stuff that I kind of cared about, which was mostly the Overwatch, like their Overwatch wasn't given a whole lot of time. A lot of it was the business end of things. Like the book was really heavy on Blizzard was a company that made nothing but great games. But they got, I can't remember exactly. They got bought out or something. Anyway, they were kind of they were either getting bigger or they were about to fail. And then Bobby Kotick, who bought Activision and turned it into a huge company through business acumen, went ahead and took over Blizzard Studios. And from there, everything just became, we're churning out games for profits and for shareholders. It's no longer a company that's about making gamers happy and giving our best product. And, you know, it was really about like, that was Blizzard's title. Blizzard makes only hits. Blizzard makes things you love. And that was up until Diablo 2, maybe even World of Warcraft. And then the rest of the book is just Bobby Kotick shitting all over everything.
Yeah, he also brought
It's kind of,
harassment and bad things.
he didn't bring that. In fact, I don't think he had a lot to do with it. It just seemed like whatever the situation was, he would show up and say, now do it faster and for less money, or else I don't give a shit. And that was
or else
kind
I
of,
steal your breast milk out the fridge.
it didn't even really talk about that. I think it mentioned breast milk once about a woman who yeah, it didn't mention that. It didn't talk about that thing that happened at all.
I like how it didn't talk about that, but it mentioned breast milk.
It did, because there was a lady who was told like she would have the option to remote work, and then because she was breastfeeding and had a kid or something, she needed that, and then Blizzard kind of said, yeah, sure, and then a month later said, yeah, that wasn't me who said it, that was somebody else, and now you don't get that choice anymore. She had to quit. There was a lot of stuff about people making barely minimum wage, working for like the greatest gaming company at the time, and having to live in like Irvine and having to commute or live with like 4 or 5 other roommates in a shitty apartment while, you know, Bobby Kotick's making $13 million bonuses and stuff. And everybody's being told they're doing a great job and nobody's getting paid.
Weren't there employees on like food stamps and stuff? I mean, I think that was testers, but they're still employees.
Yep. Yeah, there was a lot of that of you didn't work at Blizzard because you wanted to make money. You worked at Blizzard because you got to say you worked at Blizzard.
Yeah, you got that connection.
That was kind of the vibe. And even and a lot of times it didn't seem like it went anywhere. Like it was just to work there. Couple things I did find pretty cool. One, just some little factoids that I remember. BattleNet was almost Steam before Steam.
Huh.
Yep, I did hear about that.
Yeah, they initially planned to turn it into a Steam-like platform to sell games, and they shot it down. I think Bobby Kotick shot it down. I could be wrong there. Don't quote me on that. Quote the book.
Could you imagine if imagine it actually had the potential to be as big as Steam if they had come out first?
It would have.
And then you look at it
first.
nowadays and you're like, shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what happened with Steam. That's what happened with Dota. And that's what happened. There was one more where they really wanted something. Because it seems like their whole idea, and this is based on numerous entries in the book, was to take something that wasn't great, like an RTS, or something that was kind of good, like an RTS, and then polish the fuck out of it. And then be like, this is what you want. You know, StarCraft was originally another RTS that they basically took all the tools for in the engine and just said, let's just make this really nice. And then it blew up in Korea and became everything that it was. World of Warcraft was a Ultima Online clone, or RuneScape. They were trying to clone RuneScape, and then it became World of Warcraft. There's more examples of that stuff, but that was kind of their whole thing, and that's why they didn't release a whole lot.
Well, not stuff to copy,
I guess. And then Heroes of the Storm, they tried to copy League, and that flopped.
Man,
League was the other one they really wanted.
Heroes of the Storm.
Heroes of the Storm was kind of interesting because that was when they were trying to do the Overwatch League. They were doing Heroes of the Storm. They were trying to bite into Riot, basically, because Riot was just killing it with their idea of like, we don't want to sell multiple games. We just want one game and you're going to play it forever. That is Riot's whole deal.
This might be just like bias, but I still feel like Heroes of the Storm had potential past what they did with it. Yeah, past what they used it, like past what they took it to. I still feel like it had a lot of untapped potential.
The problem with Heroes of the Storm, excuse me, is they fucked up on the model, right? People played League forever because the game is almost has like infinite depth, right? It only gets more complex as the players get more complex. Like if you think about playing League now, there's all sorts of unwritten rules that you have to follow or else you lose. They wanted to make a version of that was nicer to new players, right? And so they came up with Heroes of the Storm. And the problem was that's not what those kind of players want. And everybody kind of immediately realized that, oh, this looks really nice and it's got all the characters you like and it's got all this stuff. It's just not that competitive. It doesn't have the depth that League or Dota has at all. And we even noticed that when we went back and played it for like a day after playing League I used to really like Heroes of the Storm and I still think it's fine. But after playing League for a year and then coming back and trying Heroes again, I was like, oh, there's nothing here. This is arcade mode.
I will say, no other MOBA has Murky.
True. I like Murky.
I mean, they got characters like Murky across all kinds of
MOBAs.
MOBAs.
Oh, no, man, but it's not Murky.
No, because that's a licensed IP.
There's just something to be said about playing as a shithead little Murloc and causing havoc over everything.
Yeah, I remember being on the death screen and Here's the Storm, and there not being a shop for you to be like, I wonder what I should be building to. Yeah, and that just was not a thing. And it was so weird.
That was exactly the first thing I noticed. I was like, I'm dead. What can I do? Oh, nothing. There's nothing I can do to prepare or like, think about what I'm doing. No, you just die and then, okay, respawn. One of the things that really stuck out is like Blizzard versus Activision. Because Activision obviously owned Blizzard, and Blizzard was still really trying to it was trying really hard to hold its autonomy and just keep being the dev studio that it was, with constant pressure from Activision to become more, yes, more profitable, but more stably profitable. Like Bobby Kotick's whole thing was, I want to be able to track the video game market like I do the stock market, which in essence doesn't work.
No,
because video games are entertainment. They're art projects, and you can't like know when the next big art project is going to come out that everybody's going to love. It just doesn't work like that. It's not like paper towels or, it's not just a commodity that you have to have. And that's why he always wanted more games that were, I can release expansions every so often. And it was at the point where he was like, I don't care how many people I have to throw at this. I want WoW to release an expansion every quarter, every month, and I'm listening to that and I'm like, he made a good metaphor in there, which was 9 women can't make a baby in a month. And I was like, okay, that totally makes sense. You can throw as many devs as you want at it. It's not really going to fix the problems you're having. It's too many cooks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say at some point with development, if you have too many devs on, like, just gonna get things like mixed up and crossed and all that.
That's exactly what happened. Because now in a meeting that was originally supposed to be for 15 people and take 20 minutes, now you have to have 100 people there who all have their own individual questions. Now this meeting is taking an hour to 2 hours, and you still got to do all the work. Like it's too much, right? But there isn't really another answer there. Not quite yet. I'm seeing that with, we've been talking the past couple of months about AI in games and how that can help speed up the development process. I can see that making what Bobby wanted true, if you can just go for it.
I was going to say, even if it was something that you could do, I don't see it being something that you would want to do, because what you'd run into is a problem that a lot of players have with like very long running games, which is kind of the anxiety of joining a game that you feel like you're just too far behind. You feel like you just be catching up constantly. Like, yeah, if you release an expansion every month, like you'd spend all of your time just doing that to prepare for the next expansion. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Especially if it's a multiplayer game. I don't want to play Destiny 2 now.
Yeah.
What people have put time. Everybody has I'm not doing that. Same thing with Warframe. Like everybody got on a Warframe kick for a little bit, and I was like, I don't want to invest the time to just catch up.
Yeah.
And that's the big problem with Final Fantasy 14 as well. It's just that, and that's why they started WoW Classic originally. Oh no, they started that because people wanted WoW Classic. And they had their own servers, and Blizzard and Activision was like, oh, you're biting into our money with your private servers. Get that shit out of here. We're going to make the game and you're going to pay for it.
You know what's crazy about that? Because I honestly got back into WoW recently. I wanted to try out the new expansion, and
You act like you started drinking again or something.
I don't know.
It's like he does.
Dude, it's like with all the shit with Blizzard, it really, I don't know. It feels like there's some kind of shame with returning to a game that honestly I had played for half my life, and I was like, I miss WoW, I want to try it again. But again, it's a Blizzard game, and there's like a stigma with that now. But like I kind of lost train of thought. Fuck, damn it!
You just wanted to confess that.
Well,
No, it wasn't exactly
until you
that.
figure it out. I want you to know that like a lot of one of the things in the book that was kind of eye-opening was that Blizzard doesn't really seem to deserve all the hate they got. A lot of that is Activision.
Because they were associated.
And yeah, there were, well, like financially and towards the consumers, all the bad press Blizzard has gotten has come from Activision.
Yeah.
Right? All trying to milk every dollar out of you and all the skins and all the in-game, like all that is Blizzard, or all that is Activision, right? There was even a point in Heroes of the Storm where they had all the skins and extras labeled by the actual dollar amount you needed to pay for them. And Blizzard and Activision saw that and went, oh, fuck no, you're not doing that. Get that out of here. And they had to remove it and replace it with an in-game currencies because they know how lizard brains work and people will buy that, but they won't spend $7 if it says $7.
Yeah.
Like
It's
Blizzard
fucked.
has been trying a lot of this time to make the games they were, and Activision kind of stepped on it every time and went, nah, make it more.
I think
Which
I can't exactly remember what I was
Sucks.
going to say with it, but I think it was. I don't know if you've seen anything on it, but like, remember, like I think the latest. I haven't actually looked at like people's reactions to it, but my personal reaction to like the latest expansion is. I think what I wanted to say tied into like the whole like multiple expansion thing, because the current expansion is first of 3, right? So like the world we're in is part of what they call the World Soul Saga, and there's already 2 new ones announced as well. But it feels like a return to quality, and which has been nice.
that is something that was talked about in the book where so Microsoft bought Activision, right?
Yeah,
And everybody was kind of hyped because Microsoft has this what am I thinking of? They have this people know that when Microsoft buys a company, they don't care. They bought the company because the company's good. They're going to let it have its autonomy.
yeah, they're gonna let it do
And
what it
just
wants to
own it.
do.
Yeah.
Hands-off
And so
approach.
everybody was really happy about that at Blizzard. And people were starting to get paid, and everybody thought it was really great. And then like the next month they laid off like 800 people or some shit. Microsoft did,
Yeah.
But since then, Bobby has stepped down, and a couple of the other people he brought into power with him are also gone, and the company's kind of returning to form, right? They're trying to get back on track after basically all these issues they had based on just trying to make more money. Now, all that being said, this doesn't remove all the boys club issues that were happening.
No, of
There
course
were
not.
explanations for the Cosby suite, as in it was called Cosby because the flora was the same color as Cosby's sweater, not because we knew it. And technically nobody knew what Cosby really was at that point. So there might be something that a lot of
it
the
hadn't been like he hadn't been caught yet for the stuff he's convicted of.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So when it was named the Cosby suite, he wasn't a bad guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's more
later,
of like
once
a
they
naive
revealed,
innocence. You're saying to why they
once
named
it came out, now we knew that Cosby was a bad guy.
Yeah.
So now it looks real bad in retrospection. Yeah, so Blizzard is kind of on its way back to being a good company. There were some other things where apparently everybody who worked at Blizzard was just fucking. Like all the time. Everybody was fucking everybody. A lot of the higher ups, and it was a big problem where people would date in the company. There was one story they told, and I'll stop if you guys, I'm just trying to get this out there. But
No, I'm listening.
there was one story told of like this, I want to say developer or something, who was in a WoW guild with the wife of one of the higher ups. And his wife was pregnant, and he started hooking up and dating this like dude's wife, this higher up, right?
Oh,
and the guy, Jason Schreier, interviewed him, and he's like, well, it was really messed up because, I started. Once we made our relationship final, they started treating me like shit at work. And then a couple months later, they fired me. And I just think it was a really terrible, situation for a company to treat you like that. Basically, and I'm like, you were fucking your boss's wife. What the fuck are you talking about?
Completely self-inflicted.
Wait, it was such a weird stance he had on it, where he thinks, well, a company shouldn't treat you like that. Yeah, but this is the real world, dog. Like, you can't do that shit and get away with it. What do you think is going to happen?
Wait, did you say and his wife was pregnant too?
Yeah, his wife was pregnant, and he started messing around with this other girl in his WoW guild who was married to his boss.
Yeah, fuck
Dude,
that guy.
yeah, no, completely like, that's just that guy being a complete and absolute fucking scumbag. Like,
Yeah. And apparently that kind of stuff was common. Like, a lot of the people who were higher ups had like married and divorced multiple times people who were lower than them at the company. And dating at work isn't a good idea for anybody.
generally not.
I'll
no.
say that. So yeah, I mean, if you don't know anything about Blizzard, I guess it's definitely a good read if you're interested in knowing more about the company and the history and a lot of the stuff that happened and why we're where we're at. If you have followed Blizzard, which, a lot of us, after we found out all the bad stuff, that we stopped playing Blizzard games entirely. I didn't play anything Blizzard for like years until a friend wanted to play Call of Duty, right? And there's still that stigma. It still doesn't feel good to like play a Blizzard game, but it's based on the information I have now, it's not what it was.
It doesn't feel
like,
as
it's like,
shameful.
I would be comfortable going back and playing a Blizzard game right now.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. That was kind of the thing too. Like when I brought up like, oh, I made a return to WoW. You've been telling us about like the stuff you've been reading, and like it's been like lessening my like, oh, I'm playing a Blizzard game again. I've been like, okay, maybe not everything was as bad on Blizzard's part, so I don't have to feel as bummed out playing a Blizzard game. Because man, I still highly enjoy WoW, and it's been nice kind of playing it again.
No,
Yeah.
I get it. Based on everything, WoW is like Blizzard still only puts out minus, I don't know. People feel a certain type of way about Overwatch.
I will say Diablo 4 has been having a rough go though.
I kind of was interested in that because I
played
really was a Diablo 2 guy.
What I understand, Diablo 4 is in a much better spot now.
It's in a much better spot.
I heard that as well.
But I think the latest expansion has been received kind of roughly.
Well, and here's the thing with the Diablo games is like Blizzard knows that that's their baby, right? And like a big thing was like Diablo 2, right? Diablo 2 was okay, but like the expansion for what was it called? Whatever expansion had Ball and like that. Once that came, like people don't remember Diablo 2. They remember Diablo 2 with the expansion.
What is
Lords of
that
something.
called?
You know what I'm saying?
Lords of something?
Lords of
I think.
Lords of Destruction.
Balls.
Yep.
Lords of Destruction.
Lords of Balls.
Yeah, so Lords of Balls. And like Diablo 3, same thing. When that game came out, it was a shit show with the terrible drop rates and the real money auction. Even the real money. Okay, check it out. The real money auction house that everybody hates and thought Blizzard was a shithead for making, right? That wasn't there to make Blizzard money, even though they did make a little spare change off of every transaction, which, you would do. That wasn't there to milk players for more money. That was to combat the idea of Chinese gold farmers from WoW. And not even because they were losing money from Chinese gold farmers. It's because that job, you would get paid like $4 a day to sit there for 12 hours mining gold.
Yeah.
And then sell it. And it was fucking up the economy. It's a terrible job for people to have. Like, there's nothing positive about that situation. So they tried to fix that by using a real money auction house so that people could make their own money and you wouldn't have gold farmers and stuff like they did in WoW. Like, that was to help the player. And then we kind of all took it the wrong way and people abused it, obviously.
Yeah. And that's actually
hated
still an
Blizzard for it.
issue with RuneScape. RuneScape has that problem.
I'm sure.
Right now. Yeah.
It's still a problem in WoW. I can still go buy gold in WoW. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you played it. Is there people still spamming in the chat?
When I last played, there was, but that was like a long time ago.
Yeah, that's why I was asking soon, but he might not have heard me.
What you talking about? I was reading something. Sorry.
Is there gold farming still in? Is there gold farmers still in WoW that you can buy? I'm sure there's sites. You can just Google it. Right now.
I mean, I don't think it ever went away, but I can't unless I'm just so desensitized to seeing that like stuff scroll
might
by at
be.
this point. I don't remember.
You might be in the.
I don't remember particularly looking at the chat and seeing like selling gold.
Yeah, I mean, the only chat worth looking at is that horrible racist like conspiracy theory. Which one is
Are you trying to talk
the big main one?
Are you trying to bring up like the crossroads?
I don't know. Whichever main chat is that main human city, and it's just all people yelling at each other about politics.
Main human city
That one's
Stormwind?
kind of funny. Stormwind chat. Yeah, there you go.
I don't
Anyway,
know if I was
that's
ever on the server that had that.
Oh yeah, I was. Oh my god, you turn it on and people would just be going at it.
The ones I was
Anyway,
on, it was
that's not
always
the
the
point.
crossroads chat and the horde side. That was like the one you
Oh.
go to see shenanigans.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's different for everyone, but there's always one. The point is that it seems like through all the things that have happened, Blizzard was kind of always trying to get back to being just a game company and not this horrible monster that Activision created. And there were definitely some bad things, you know, obviously the sexual harassment stuff, which there was like a whole chapter explaining that. And I don't know. I didn't vibe with that whole section of that's not what really happened. And this is what really, and it didn't feel vindicating in any way. Like I was being told something, I don't know. It was just hearsay pretty much. But, I lost. And the thing where the dude, said like free Hong Kong or something. I can't remember what it was. And they stole all his winnings and banned him.
And the ban.
The Overwatch thing. So yeah, it wasn't all great, but even that was, I would have to think them going, oh, we lose money in China if we let this happen, which is not something Blizzard really cared about, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
and they
we
even sabotaged them. Yeah, go for it.
I was gonna say we kind of like always knew that Activision was to blame for most of that kind of stuff. That's why I was like Activision Blizzard. The stuff that was specifically about Blizzard was like some of the sexual harassment stuff with the Cosby suite. I remember specifically the Overwatch team was the ones that were like that seemed to just be like clean from what we could tell. Like they literally just did nothing but work on Overwatch. Like that's all they did.
The only one I can't remember is what happened with the McCree. I don't think that came up. That was like 2 or 3 sentences that just kind of got washed over.
There was no good way to paint it.
No,
that's kind of how I felt. I felt like the stuff that couldn't be painted in a better light was just kind of, this happened.
What?
And then that's
When I haven't read it myself, but just from the way you sound it, it sounds like it was it almost tried to paint everything as like the most positive way possible.
Yeah, there was no there. You know, I will say that the way he writes is not. It's like it's more factual. Like he doesn't seem terribly acutely biased. Like he's not saying this was bad or good ever. He's not saying that. But when you look at all the stuff he puts out, when you combine it all together, there's kind of a bias towards Blizzard being, hey man, they're not that bad. They're all right. It's
like what
it feels that
what
way.
What isn't included in length? Like the omitted parts. What are they?
Yeah,
I don't know if there was anything that was
like in terms of like
blatantly omitted.
But like if something like that whole McCree situation being like 2 sentences instead of further elaborated on, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or similar situation.
And that's kind of the vibe you get.
Like the breast milk situation, and then maybe like just being skimmed over basically.
Yeah,
like
that's probably why I'm not too hype about the book. Like, I'm not like as interested in this one. I was really excited for this too, for a book.
Hey man, I was excited for the John Dies at the End series. I still am.
That's true.
Being
Those
excited
are
for a
good,
book
though.
is
This
completely
was-
okay.
I know. It's just
Unacceptable.
not in this days. Yeah, unacceptable. Not on this podcast. Reading, stupid. Yeah, it wasn't what I didn't expect it to be like some like mind-blowing stuff, because he'd get sued to oblivion if like I feel like he would if he reported some, I don't know. It just didn't seem it wasn't what I really wanted. And I don't know what I wanted, but it wasn't quite it. I definitely enjoyed his last one more. But like I said, there were some decent parts in there, you know, to find out that like, oh, StarCraft 2 was a failure because you decided to try and milk Korea for licensing money rather than just letting, because the whole thing was like StarCraft was a big hit because somehow it found its way to Korea and they basically turned it into an internet, like their national sport. Right. Yep. And then for StarCraft 2, they're like, hey, StarCraft 2 and some other place like the leagues there, they tried to say, well, for StarCraft 2, you're going to give us licensing fees. And they're like, we don't really make any money. This is just what we do for fun. Like this is just like what Korea likes. So we're not going to do that. And then they said, well, too bad. And then they released StarCraft 2 and they basically the Korean leagues petitioned against like saying, you know, don't use this game. And they just kept playing StarCraft 1. And so they missed out on a whole market because they wanted those extra few bucks, which seems to be the case for a lot of the stuff they did. Along with like Warcraft 3 Reforged and yeah, they made a lot of bad decisions just trying to get more money. And like I said, that was mostly Activision.
Yeah. Would you go back to Overwatch is one question for you, Flitz.
Overwatch? Yes. Overwatch 2? I don't know. I don't think
Unfortunately, there's no distinction
It's
anymore.
not the same game.
Yeah.
No, it's not the same game. It's not. I don't want to be Reinhardt in this game mode. I want my second tank. I want my buddy. Like that's how I remember Overwatch was me and my homie being the tanks and being like, fuck the rest of our team. We're going to do what we want to do. And that was fun. You know, that's where I got my enjoyment. I never wanted to be DPS or, you know, healer's fine. But I like the idea of, because when you play a solo tank and you've got 4 people mad at you, it feels so terrible. Like, I can't do anything because of you guys, and you guys can't do anything because of me, but there's 4 of you versus me. And so I'm just going to catch all this shit. And now I'm not having fun anymore. But when you had a buddy with you, that felt nice. You know,
Yeah.
there's something there that's just lost now. And from what I understand, Overwatch 2 just ain't it.
Well,
It'll never be what it once was.
they are they've been doing experimental updates with bringing back 6v6. I don't know if you heard about that. I talked about it.
I remember
before, a
hearing
long
some
time
about
ago.
that.
Yeah. So I think it was a couple months ago. So we might be getting the 2 tanks back again.
Maybe. But even then, it's like they're not going to change the whole game, probably. It'll probably just be an arcade mode type thing or so. I don't know. I don't really follow Overwatch 2. I've always been mad at it because they ruined my favorite game to make something that was a lie. That was the other thing that I thought was kind of weird. After reading the book, and the book doesn't really care about Jeff Kaplan. I thought he would play a much bigger role in like, because he, you know, if I think of Overwatch or Blizzard, I think of Jeff. You know, they talked a lot about Ben Brode and Hearthstone, and I didn't know that Marvel Snap was made by him when he got sick of Blizzard shit and was like, okay, I'm gonna go make my own. Yeah. And I think that game is definitely subpar to Hearthstone, but people like it. It's popular. It's made a lot of money. He did a good job. What was I going to say? After reading this, like I went to the competitive Overwatch. Somehow I got to the competitive Overwatch subreddit and they hate Jeff. They think Jeff is like the worst thing to ever happen to Overwatch. And he's the one who caused it all to be terrible by not doing it. Like they are mad at him. And I always thought he was the good guy, you know? So I guess it's just whatever circles you hang out in dictate your mood. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because like one thing for me, the reason I like Jeff is because he was just kind of like he's a vice president of Blizzard, right? That's what he was. And he was just kind of like a really chill dude.
Yeah.
At the same time. Like, and he was kind of weird too. Like one thing that he would do was whenever he would make posts or anything in text, apparently even his emails, he never used capital letters. Like he just hates capital letters.
Get that shit out of here, man.
That's not a
I'd be
quirky
so
thing.
mad.
That's just dog shit grammar.
That's just being lazy.
I thought it was, and even just like his origin of like how he started, like how he came up is kind of funny. Of just like how he became a developer was because he really he was kind of like a shitlord on what was it? A different MMO. And he's like, I could probably do this shit like way better. And that's basically what it is. He worked on World of Warcraft, and that was his thing. And his screen name was Tiggle Bitties.
Yep.
God damn it.
That's funny.
But as for him as an actual developer, it's hard to say, because just like the development for Overwatch has always been such like a shit show.
Oh yeah, big time.
Constantly.
If you remember, like a big problem was nothing happened with Overwatch for a couple years, right? Like it was kind of just like, this is going to happen and this is going to happen, and then it's not. And they blame him for thinking, because apparently the idea was Overwatch was going to be the first part. Overwatch 2 with PvE was going to be part 2. And then an MMO, like WoW, the WoW killer was going to be Overwatch 3, which was going to be an MMO. That was apparently the plan the whole time. And so like Jeff people wanted them to be doing more stuff with Overwatch 1, and he's over there pushing Overwatch 2 and trying to get all this PvE stuff that never came to fruition. And then in the meantime, Activision's trying to make this Overwatch League and sell the teams to like NBA franchise owners for $20 million and like make this big esports gamble. And that never panned out properly. That turned into a shit show. A lot of people lost their livelihoods through like a Twitter post that they didn't even know was coming, of like, nope, Overwatch League is done. Oh, okay, there goes my entire career. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, because of StarCraft and Dota and League, where they basically said, rather, we're going to be the esports league and we're going to own everything. And all the other companies were like, I don't know if that's, why would we want to sign up for that? You know, everything goes to you, which was what we were talking about with Saudi Arabia having Olympics. Like, what happens when somebody owns an Olympic sport? Who knows? We'll find out.
I guess it's just difficult because I don't know what all he was responsible for Overwatch development, because I don't know how much of a hand Activision had in anything. You know, that's the real problem. Like, how much were they pushing him and how much was he pushing back? Because I remember there was so much talk about him always trying to stop Activision from doing certain monetization. Because if you
was a lot of it.
Yeah.
That was every game.
Because, like, if anything, Overwatch was the most successful at avoiding monetization out of any of the games. Like, from WoW to Hearthstone, like, all Overwatch was just loot boxes that you never even had to buy. I never bought a single one, and I own almost everything in the game.
Well, what had happened is they had implemented the loot boxes, and then basically a couple months later, they were like, oh shit, we put these in here and people are suddenly this is now a live service game worth, like, people are putting thousands of dollars into these. Like, we didn't spend money on them, but people were buying them by the shit ton, to the point where they looked at Overwatch and went, we're doing a league, we're doing this, we're going to monetize the hell out of everything. Yeah, that was kind of, every time anything made even a little bit of money, they're like, we're going to milk this. And that was Activision's doing, you know?
Yeah. And the other thing,
according to the book,
the other thing you have to remember too, because the original plan for Overwatch, it was not supposed to be live service at all.
No.
I remember this came out, I forget when, but at some point it did, where they were just going to release the game and then boom, done. We move on and do something else. And then, the loot boxes came out. They sort of saw the money. They're like, wait a minute, if we can just add some updates to this thing, make some money off of it.
Yeah, well, originally it was called I think it was called Project Titan.
Yeah.
And they had basically worked on this project. Well, they had worked on this Project Titan game for years, and it had some base elements of Overwatch, and then somebody from on high went, scrap it, we're done with Project Titan forever. And then I guess Overwatch was put together in a couple months, and they presented it, and they're like, this is what we're doing with the remnants of Project Titan. Here's what's going on. And they presented it to Bobby, and everybody was kind of looking at it like, this is shit, let's just throw it out. And I guess Bobby was like, the story is he was staring at the screen with all the Overwatch characters, Winston and Tracer, and all laid out. And they're like the 20th anniversary or whatever anniversary it was, where you could log in and it would just have all the characters chilling there.
Yeah.
And he was just staring at it for a couple minutes. Nobody's saying anything. And he looked at it. He's like, this is like the most engaging, diverse, unique, interesting set of video game characters I've ever seen. We're building off this. And then they just greenlit everything for Overwatch after that point. So he did have some sense there. And that's what happened with, what was that game that failed? Conquered. Conquered was the exact opposite, where there were some good mechanics in there from what I've seen, but the characters, you could not build anything with those characters.
Most bland, boring, terrible characters I've ever seen. I still keep getting more videos of artists like correcting the characters to make them more fit what they're supposed to be. It's pretty funny.
I wish I played it. I wish it didn't cost anything, and then I would have gotten a chance to play it just to see what it was.
It didn't overall.
No, it cost $100 million. Not to me, but to somebody.
I mean, you bought it for 40, you got those 40 back 10 days later.
That's true.
Oh, quick
That's
thing,
true.
because this is going on for quite a while.
Yeah, sorry.
You may not be like all out of hope, because someone actually noticed that Concord, it may be like you can't buy it, but it's still on the Steam backend, right?
Yep.
And they've been updating the game.
I mean, if you put that much money into it, I'm sure somebody there is like, we can do something with this.
Yeah, they're doing something.
I mean,
don't
they've been
know
saying
what.
from the beginning that like stays tuned until you hear more from us about what we're doing with it.
Yeah, so we might get something here pretty soon. I'm hoping.
That'd be interesting. I'll try it. Just like I was going to try the Suicide Squad, which is going to die, and I'm never going to try it.
We'll get to it when we get to it.
Overall, I would recommend his first book more. That one I was excited to finish and didn't put it down until it was done. This one I took a break and I was like, whatever. I had to remember that I was still reading it.
Maybe more if you're more interested in Blizzard, kind of a Blizzard fanboy, give it a read.
But I am, man. I've been on this Blizzard shit for years. We had old podcasts about Blizzard.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are as interested in Blizzard as I am, and I still was like, I don't know what I wanted, but I don't think I got it. And that's just a me thing. As far as it's written, it's factual, it's interesting to hear stories that you've never heard or otherwise wouldn't. Schreier's great as always. I've seen. This book was not my favorite out of the two I've read. That's all.
Sure.
All right.
Do we have any other things we have to get over before we're done here? Or are we calling
There's
it?
only one thing I want to talk about.
All right.
Okay.
And that's the fucking numbers the Dragon Ball's new video game was doing. Sparking Zero.
Yeah.
I'd have to assume it's killing it because I cannot get away from this fucking game.
It had over 100,000 players on Steam, like almost there, before it actually officially launched.
Oh, the early
the
unlock.
advanced access.
Yeah,
This game
yeah.
is doing fucking numbers.
I kind of want to play it, even though I talked all that
I
trash.
say
bought it
I
on
picked it up.
PlayStation because I played a ton of the original 3 Budokai Tenkaichis.
Same.
childhood.
So I finally cracked and bought it. I haven't played too much of it, but the tutorial felt good.
So the tutorial teaches you like a little bit about the game, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, there's probably more advanced tutorials. I want to see what they're not telling you. I spent fucking an hour and a half going through and just like, what the fuck am I through different tutorials? There's like 13 different ways to do a defensive action in this game.
Yeah.
There's like high low.
Dang, so it's deeper than I thought.
It's
huh?
actually it's like it's gonna take a long time to get used to all that, because there's preemptive counters, there's reaction counters, there's like countering with perfect timing for parrying, there's high low blocking, there's vanishing, and those are just the ones I can remember off the top of my head, and there's still more. Oh yeah, there's also the spending a special point to counter after getting hit.
That was the one I think it teaches you in the base, like at the very start.
There's also
Man, if it wasn't $70, they need to stop that. I don't have this kind of money.
Well, then you only spent $140 in the past week.
but whole
I can't, man.
Buy a third game, you could trade them all in for a new graphics card.
Oh my god. All I can afford is the internet subscription and Reddit.
so Reddit's
Reddit
too
don't even
much.
cost you anything.
It costs him insanity. Are you kidding me? Fuck that website sometimes.
Remember that time I said something bad about
That was exactly what I was
C14?
thinking of.
They got so mad at me. That was great.
I don't like time-gated progress from content. Go fucking kill
Then
yourself.
perish.
Like, holy
Yeah,
shit.
I will say that I picked up Sparking Zero, and I wouldn't mind playing some multiplayer at some point, maybe.
I'd have to pick it up for PC because I don't think there's crossplay.
There's not even crossplay. Yeah, because I remember
that's
watching.
more a
We were
Sony thing,
watching
I think.
two of our other Discord buddies. They were playing it, and it definitely brought me back to like one of the first couple ones, like couch co-op playing with my homies, just dunking on him, and him not having any idea how to play the game and just enjoying myself.
One of my
So-
favorite things about these types of games for Dragon Ball is like it's probably seems like something so simple, but I love the fact you can just transform mid match to like your higher power stages. It's immersive for Dragon Ball, and I fucking love it. Just like powering up to the stages is fun.
Early impressions is that it's probably going to be my top favorite, like my favorite Dragon Ball game, along with Fighters. I think those two are going to be my favorite games. No, but one thing I noticed about the gameplay we were watching in this Discord, right? Part of the reason that game did look kind of funky is because of all of the lag that they had going on.
Yeah, I remember when
Like their game
when
was just
they
lagging
loaded
in
up.
general. Like playing it on my PlayStation, it's so much faster. Like
Yeah, there's-
super moves don't take like 6 seconds to start up. Like some of them have like just lengthy animations for when they hit, but like
Do you think
you
think it was just like
could see in their games when like now that I know like doing the same supers and stuff on the PlayStation, like just the lag and freezing that was happening.
oh,
And,
do you
the
think it was just like
stutter.
their rigs kind of?
Yeah, their rigs.
Okay.
That's like that was my real problem. Was just like I'm like these supers are taking so long to start. They're like so poorly paced. Like some of them are a little long, but it was more that like what I was seeing was just like the game was basically in slowdown a lot. So it wasn't the greatest showing from what we
Hardware
saw.
limitations from the presenters.
I remember because I was there when he first booted up the game, and he went to a practice game as Super Broly, right? Broly from Dragon Ball Super, and we found out his son with that character, his computer hates. But when he first played it, I was like, "Oh my god, this looks absolutely terrible."
You even
'cause
messaged me.
I
You're like,
did.
come look at this.
I couldn't
Come look at this
believe
trash.
it. It looked like absolute trash. Like honestly. And then because you couldn't tell from the stream, and also I think it's just how the game handles lag, where it looks really smooth. But like the attacks and like the pace of the game are extremely slow.
Yeah.
Like very slow. It's like punch, kick, like that pace actually. And I was like, this is like terrible. What is happening? And it was so much that I messaged was like, dude, this game looks like absolute trash.
Yeah.
You have to see
because
this
I thought
shit.
the same thing.
Yeah. And then he loaded up a second game playing as someone else, and it looked like way better. And
Yeah.
it was kind of crazy.
Super
it was
Broly
something
was
with
killing his PC.
dude. Yeah, he loaded up Super Broly again just to see, because he noticed it too on his just from playing, and it's totally him. Like something about him, like
He's too strong.
he's too powerful. And doing a super, his computer just like freezes for a second.
Dude, yeah, the fucking like the super takes like 10 seconds because he's getting like 6
Dude.
FPS.
I
The
just like
fucking
to
thing-
imagine.
It's fine on PlayStation. Like that super is fine on PlayStation.
Dude, I just like to imagine he starts doing supers and you can hear in the background his fans go. "Whirr."
his tower gets like the gold flames around
His
it.
It's the aura.
His tower's
Starts
going,
screaming.
his tower's going legendary Super Saiyan trying to run the super.
Oh my god. No, one thing I want to note. Holy shit. The AI in story mode is fucking cracked.
I read that. I read like they're like
have
it's
you
insane.
seen anything? It's harder than the hardest. It's harder than the hardest difficulty available in like versus CPU. It's
Too good.
it's
got the UI AI.
I will say one of the things I think the old Budokai Tenkaichi games had it too, but like one of the factors I like is in like certain like big story fights you have to do it. You have to recreate certain things from the show, or you go into like alternate timeline shit where like stuff goes differently. Like if you don't kill Frieza with this or defeat Frieza with the spirit bomb, then Namek never gets destroyed and everybody just leaves.
Just leave. Fuck this place. Okay, I think we got to cut it though.
Yeah,
We're at like 2
going
hours.
a bit long.
Going a bit long. A bit long.
And then
in
the
the
star,
tooth
we were
here.
like, let's make this one short.
And then
Oh,
Flips was
fuck.
like, let me
Well-
tell you about this book I read.
I know. I'm sorry. That's me. I should have just said it's
I was
fine.
invested. I was listening.
It's fine if you can read. Otherwise, don't get it.
If you can't read, don't get the
Just
book.
cut the entire part out and put that where it was. Two versions.
Thank you all
The
so
end-
much for listening. No. I have to finish
No.
this. Thank you.
I
Oh
just
my god.
listened.
Wait, but did you hear about the new Google Android third-party store thing?
So thank you all so much for listening. It's time for us to go. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them on the video or podcast wherever you're listening to this, or send us an email at shut up at
What about
giantenemycrabpod shut up at gmail.com. That's giantenemycrabpod at gmail.com. We'll catch you next week with a much shorter, hopefully, episode.
Nah, I'm going to be talking about metaphor probably.
Ugh.
You're welcome.
All right. I'm going to sit that one out. Goodbye.
Nah, I'm going to need you only. I'm going to special
No.
episode.
No. I'm removing you from the Discord.
Get kicked.